would you like to bet right alongside your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper for the next 40 days for under $5 per day? Well, we have you covered. A 30-day all-access pass is priced at $2.99, but for a limited time, not only are we discounting the price by $100, but adding on 10 more days of picks for free. So outside of the $100 discount, we are tossing in a free 3-day all-access, a $39 value, and a free 7-day all-access, a $99 value for a combined savings of $238. So to recap, for the next 40 days, you will get all plays across all sports from your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper played during your access, including 5% best bets for under $5 per day. Have an existing all-access pass? No worries, as your 40 days will not begin until your current package expires.
Good morning and welcome in right here to WagerTalk TV. You're watching Puck Time. I'm Andrew. I have Carmine Bianco with me and Lawrence Presman in his usual Wednesday spot. Guys, today, not feeling as great as I enter this slate. Waking up today, it was 1-2 day for me in the NHL. That one winner was a prop, so just a 1% play. But not my best night. I had the under in the Pittsburgh game and the over in the Florida game, and both of those lose by 1 goal. I guess 2 goals in the Pittsburgh game. So that was real tough, but an entertaining night nonetheless in the NHL. That overtime was just unbelievable to watch. Going into triple overtime, the Pittsburgh Penguins, New York Rangers, Louis Domingue, third string goaltender, really enters the game after apparently he had a full meal of pork and broccoli, enters the game and makes some great saves. But Colorado, they get the job done and rather easily as well. Lots of great games, though, guys. Look forward to breaking down today's games. We're going to talk about the Bruins, Hurricanes, Tampa Bay Lightning, and Maple Leafs, and, of course, the Blues Wild game 2, and the nightcap is the Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. I'll go over to you, Carm, to ask you how your night was and how you're doing today.
I'm doing good. I talked to you or messaged you last night. I'm like, I'm pretty much going to cut out at 11 o'clock. And instead, I kept hoping for more and more overtime in that game. I love overtime games. It was an entertaining one. Obviously, a little bit of controversy with the Rangers goal, but I'm fine with the call. They've called it all year. They got to continue to call it, be consistent throughout the playoffs. But it was good. The 3-pack I had up went 2-1. I did have a live play, but that one didn't get there. But I really liked the NHL card yesterday, and I really like the NHL card tonight. I've got 4 plays up for clients already with an explanation on each and every one, so they know where my thinking is on every single game. So it's going to be a busy day. I'm not sure if I'm going to go out and watch the Leaf game with my friends tonight, because I just, having them buzz my ears like they did on Monday night, it just gets annoying. But it's how Leaf fans are. Speaking of which, hey, Prez.
What up?
What's up, Prez?
Oh, man. I haven't had a bad NHL night since December. And I went 0-2 last night, and it gutted me. I am so freaking bummed. I had Florida in regulation, and I had the New York Rangers. There was a moment, there was a time where I thought that 2-0 was in order, and it was one of those. I could go 2-0, 0-2, 1-1, and ended up with an 0-2 night. But I'll bounce back tonight, guys. I've got my first 5% play in 3 weeks. It's in hockey. It's up. It's over at WagerTalk.com. I feel good about it. The craziest thing, I'm not like the most overly superstitious guy, but Vivian bought me a pair of track pants, like, I don't know, a year ago. I wear them very rarely, and I wore them yesterday, and I have not had a winning night wearing those track pants ever. Those track pants are actually getting burned at 4 p.m. tonight, and I have pulled out the Good Luck 5% track pants that I will be wearing for the game tonight. On top of all of that, go Leafs.
You should listen. You should tweet out a picture of those good luck track pants of yours. Quickly before the game started yesterday, I had everything lined up, all the TVs, the games, and then what happens? All the power goes out in the area. I'm like, you got to be kidding me, right? I didn't use the kidding. I used a much harsher word. But 15 minutes later, the power comes back on. All the Wi-Fi signals reset, and I only missed, I think, one goal as far as that goes. But Prez, listen, we've all been there. Not just us guys on the show, but the guys in the chat. You've all been there where you're watching 2 or 3 games, and they're all going your way, and you're like, I'm going to have a really good night. And all of a sudden, you get 1 or 2 goals. It starts to go against you, and the first thing that creeps into your mind is, oh God, don't let this be an 0-3 night. It just happens. It's the profession that we're in. It's the sport that we bet. It's how it is.
Well,
yeah,
guys,
Chuck Pod.
Sorry, Prez.
What? Chuck Pod with a funny joke. I thought it was Vivian who wore the pants in the family. Yes, it is. Find me a household where the woman doesn't wear the pants in the family. But that doesn't mean I'm not wearing pants there, Chuck. I'm just allowed only to wear track pants, according to the pant wearer. So, yeah. Yeah, Carm, I get it, man. I mean, we do this 365 days a year. I mean, an 0-2 night is not that big a deal. I mean, they happen all the time. Like, it's just... you're rolling, 46-20 or something like that run. Anyway, Andrew, let's get the show on the road, bro.
Well, just real quick on that, that's why for me, you have to realize it's a 7-game series, or it's at least supposed to be 4 to 7 for all of these series, which is why with my clients, I'm getting more invested with the series prices than I am with these actual in-series wagers. And so I just don't want to put too much into one game all the time. And, with these props, especially, guys, they're always going to be 1% or even a half unit and that kind of stuff. I'm not going to risk 4% of my bankroll on a game every single night, I guess, when these teams are playing potentially 7 times each. But there's lots of time for us to turn things around. And hey, 4 great games today. Game 2 here. Let's discuss it. The Boston Bruins, again, in North Carolina, taking on the Carolina Hurricanes. They're minus 115. Boston minus 105. Total sits at 5.5 in this game. Take a look at last game's numbers here. 5-1 final result. Shots on goal, though, 36-25 in favor of Boston. The Hurricanes win the faceoff battle, 57-43. Both teams go scoreless on the power play. Penalty minutes, that was a big part of the game, though. Hard for Boston to get going when they had 16 penalty minutes. That was a huge factor for them. You take a look at this game, and I think that what I thought beforehand, I still believe, except for even more now, there's just not enough depth, I don't think, on the Boston Bruins, which you look, even back like 4 or 5 years ago, that was the name of the game for the Bruins. They had so many guys, several lines that could score. And Carolina is a team that you guys all know I'm high on. They don't really have that superstar, right? They don't have that guy that's making the highlight reel every night. They don't. They've got a couple of great players. But they do have several lines of contributors that are also defensively responsible. Quick note as well, in goal, we will be seeing Linus Ullmark again for the Boston Bruins, as there was a little bit of a debate here if Swayman would get the net, after Ullmark gave up 5 goals. But I see no reason not to go back to Carolina in Game 2. I feel like it's going to be a big one in Game 3 at TD Garden for the Boston Bruins to try and protect their home ice. But Carm, what are your thoughts on this one? We talked about this series. We talked about the totals as well. And I was kind of surprised to see 5 goals from Carolina. You liked the over, I believe. I liked the under. And, hey, we saw Carolina do the bulk of the scoring in that one. And you were on the winning side of that one.
Yeah, listen, we had differing opinions, and in all honesty, that could have gone either way. It was, they pulled their goalie, I think, with about 4 minutes left, and an empty netter in that 17-minute marker. So to push that over the total, but Andrew, I like Carolina as well too. I've said it all year. They really picked it up again at the end of the season and start to win games, start to score goals. I just can't figure out how they are completely, at least on paper, dominating or on the ice, dominating this Boston Bruins team as far as score lines go. Look at the score lines. They've won all 4 games. They've outscored them 21-2 in those games. Every game they've won by 3 or more goals. And I think they've won the last 3 by 4 or more goals. They're scoring when the Bruins aren't. They're shutting down the Bruins. And it's like you said, if you don't have that secondary scoring after you get past that first line for the Bruins, you're in trouble, especially if you shut down that line. And they seem to have done it 4 games in a row. Can they do it in the 5th? I always talk about the team that loses the first game. You sort of want to come back with the another team in the second game. I'm thinking the Bruins are going to push back today, but I'm not confident enough to take the Bruins to win this game because I just haven't seen enough. You can look at shots on goal. You can try and find a narrative that tells you the Bruins are going to be better tonight and that they should have won any of these games. I just don't see it. But you can find a narrative if you look close enough. I just think the Bruins will push back tonight. But with that said, I think we're going to see some goals again. I'm leaning to the over, but I'm going to lean to the over in the first period. I think we're going to see some goals in the first period, and you only have to pay $1.15 on the over 1.5. We normally see 1.5s throughout the season at -150, -160. I get it with these teams. It's a 5.5 total, so the number is supposed to be lower. But I thought it would be about a -130, -135, and it's not. It's -115. So give me over first period, 1.5 in this one. Prez?
Yeah, well, first I'm going to tell you a bunch of bets that I like for this game, and then I'll tell you why. I like the Boston Bruins in the first period. I like over the total on the game, and I like Carolina for the game. So those are the 3 bets that I like tonight. Let me just make this real simple. 5-1 last game, 6-0 the game before, 7-1 the game before that, 3-0 the game before that. Boston has scored 2 goals in 4 games against this Carolina team. I think they'll get a goal tonight, maybe 2. One will come early in the first period. But the problem that Boston faces here, and, Andrew, we saw it with Montreal when they made their run. When Toronto played Montreal, you had a Toronto team that is an attack offense, a puck possession offense, an offense that's similar to Tampa Bay, Florida, and Colorado. And then they ended up playing a team that is a counter-attacking team that doesn't play puck possession, that really bottles up the neutral zone, slows the entrance in the Montreal Canadiens. And the Montreal Canadiens play a similar style to Carolina, to Boston, etc. Here we have a scenario where 2 teams play a very similar style of game. And when that happens, the better team normally wins the majority of those games. Carolina is by far the better team. With that said, Boston is super experienced in this spot, man. And, as a Leaf fan, I can attest to the fact that they have lost many first games in series and come back and won. That's why I think we're going to get their best effort in the first period. But the bottom line here is we have teams that mirror each other in style of play, and the better, deeper team is going to win, and that's Carolina. I expect Boston to win Game 3, and I expect Carolina to win this series 4-1.
Great stuff there, Prez. I like that stuff quite a bit, and especially the first period. I mean, you talk about how suffocating the Carolina Hurricanes can be. The Boston Bruins don't want to go down early again. And if they're going to have a great game, it's going to start with that first period. So Carolina to win the game, Bruins to win the first period, and the game to go over for the Prez. Carm, I know you got something to say, but I got to go back and just ask Prez real quick something. I know you aren't a prop player, but do you agree with me, Prez, that with Boston, it's worth keep looking at some of these players like Pasta and Bergeron? Like I had over 3.5 shots with Bergeron last game. He got 5. He continues to be a shot machine. And I just think if they're going to have a good game tonight, it's going to be those guys, right?
Andrew, I like the shot props for all the star players in the NHL in the playoffs. I think we're going to see people shooting. So I do like those prop bets. I just don't make prop bets on a regular basis. So for me, it's like stay in your lane, right? I've had an awesome 4 months of NHL betting, and I haven't bet one single prop bet the entire time. I have no problem if people take shot props, and I would take them with the stars. I mean, I think Stamkos and Kucherov shot prop bets are going to be really good value tonight.
Carm?
Well, first of all, listening to or hearing Prez stay in your lane from a guy who's never stayed in his lane in his life.
That's because I have 3 lanes.
But with that said, I'm just going to say it's a brave call by you saying the Bruins will win tonight, but Carolina wins the series 4-1.
Didn't say that.
Saying Carolina's going to go to Boston and win both games and then clinch it at home. Yeah, you said Carolina
Andrew, Carm didn't listen to me. Can you gong him?
Is that Bruins first period, Carolina full game over.
And Carolina and Boston wins game 3.
Back at TD.
All right.
Let me write that down. As one of the co-founders and owners of WagerTalk,
this is why we
Carm
love
didn't
Wednesdays.
listen to me.
But guys, before we move on to the next game, I just want to mention that third line. Nito Niederreiter, Jordan Staal, and Jesper Fast. Those 3 guys, as I always say, Stanley Cup runs are built with a third line. And we saw it over the past 2 years with the Tampa Bay Lightning before they were called out for being $15 million over the cap. I mean, Domi, Trocheck, and Teravainen are great on that second line, but what Staal and Niederreiter bring to the third line, the physicality, but also the skill. If you can mix those 2 things in together, it's great for your team. And both those players had a really great game 1. And when you look at Boston's third line going head to head with that third line, it's quite a bit of a mismatch. But awesome stuff there with this game 1, guys. Let's jump into our second game of the night. These are the 2 early games, of course, in the Eastern Conference. Tampa Bay Lightning in Toronto for game 2. Tampa plus 115, Toronto minus 135, home favorites. Total at 6.5. And I like the way this was structured. I like the way this was the second game. I always go to Carm for the first one first. I always go to the guests for the second one first. So, Prez, on WagerTalk today, I said to you and Teddy that one team played very hungry and one team played like they won back-to-back cups. I know you were just messing with me because I listened to the show after I left, and the Toronto played very well. One thing I want to say, I was saying last night on the radio, as bad as it sounds and as uncharacteristic of me to say this as it sounds, that hit from behind from Kyle Clifford, I think, was an outstanding thing to start off that game for the Toronto Maple Leafs. A great penalty kill. They proved that they weren't going to be bumped around, and I thought the Leafs had a great overall first game here, Prez.
Andrew, I'll tell you flat out, I think that was the best game the Leafs have ever played in my lifetime. Flat out in my lifetime. That's
how old are you?
That was a perfect hockey game. Everybody talks about, their offense. They got 5 goals. They were buzzing. They were humming. Their defense was spectacular. Outside of Steve Stamkos missing that open net, Tampa Bay did not have one quality scoring chance the entire game. They were kept to the outside. The Leafs owned the middle of the ice. They were shooting from far. The Leafs were swarming. The Leafs skated. Their speed is unbelievable. But let me break this game down because that was last game.
Yes.
I like the Leafs here tonight, guys. I'll tell you that flat out. I actually thought the Leafs would handle Tampa Bay in the series. I wanted Tampa Bay in the series. I wanted Tampa Bay more than any other team. Tampa Bay has played more ice hockey in 2 years than any team has ever played ever in history of hockey, no team has played more hockey in a 3-year period than Tampa Bay. I told everybody for the last month, this team is tired, this team is slow. And what did we see game one? A tired, slow team. The Leafs are way too fast for that Tampa Bay Lightning team. So long as the Leafs keep swarming, keep playing as a 5-man unit, keep skating, keep back-checking, keep forechecking. Do I think they're going to sweep Tampa Bay? No. I actually literally 25 minutes ago bought Game 5 tickets. So I do expect a Game 5, but I think the Leafs get it done at home tonight. And I'm just
sound excited,
pumped up,
Prez.
man.
You sound like
I'm
you believe.
pumped up,
you
dude.
sound excited. You believe in the team. A great game one.
They're just too fast. They're just too fast.
That game one. I mean, you said it was the best
They
game
don't
you ever
need to
saw in your entire lifetime.
Andrew,
I'm not arguing with you. I'm just stating a fact.
Yeah, they don't need to replicate the game one. Even the hottest women in the world grow old. They just need to remain somewhat pretty. And that's what the Leafs need to do tonight. Do I expect a 5-0 victory? No. 3-2, 4-3, 4-2. But I like the Leafs tonight.
Well, and one thing.
Plus, when do I not like the Leafs?
About this series is the home ice. And I'll tell you what, I don't know if the suits just didn't show up. If the businessmen like Prez, I thought they were actually pretty enthusiastic in the crowd there, Carm. I don't know. That was the loudest I've ever seen that that arena.
It was insane.
And the fans actually showed up to the game, and they weren't 10 minutes late, which was nice to see. They weren't in the VIP with their clients down below. But before I throw to you, Carm, we've seen Vasilevsky following a playoff loss the last 2 seasons, .966 save percentage, 14-0, and 5 shutouts. That was obviously not Vasilevsky's best performance either, albeit a great one from the Leafs. Not a good one from Vasilevsky in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, great that I can finally jump in here. That last segment was brought to you by the Toronto Maple Leafs fan club, planning parades since 1967 and never following.
Blah, 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 blah.
Cooper talked. Listen, you had your 2 cents. Let me talk about the game now. Cooper talked after the game and the next day about the fact that the Leafs didn't have to play as good as they did to beat Tampa Bay because his team threw in a lemon. An absolute lemon. But talking about a team that skates well, that is faster, a team that is tired. Let's not look at the last 2 seasons. And yes, they have played more games than anybody else, and say that is why they're tired now, and not 2 months ago or 3 months ago. This team should bounce back in this series. They are still the defending Stanley Cup champions. They're not the same team as they were last year and the year before. But listen, they played quite possibly one of their worst games. All you have to do is look back to last month, April the 4th. Leafs go to Tampa Bay, beat them 6-2. Look absolutely phenomenal. Then they play Tampa again 2 weeks later, lose 8-1. What is the difference between the 2 games? If they're such a fast-scoring team, where were they in the 8-1 game? And if you tell me Austin Matthews
tell you
missing,
that.
If you tell me Matthews was missing, that are the Leafs a one-person team? You're not talking here, Prez. This is on me now. All right, let me get my 2 cents worth in before you interrupt me. Thank you. So with that said, I expect Tampa to be better tonight in this game. Vasilevsky has been good all season, bouncing back off a loss. He's 16-5-3 off a loss this season. And I think he's going to be better tonight. Tampa's got to be better, because if they're not, then it will be a 5-game series that ends in Toronto next week. So with that said, give me Tampa Bay to win tonight against the Leafs.
Andrew, can I jump in quick? I'm not to respond to Carm's lightning pick, and I get it, man. This is the white spot.
After you, Prez, then I have a follow-up for Carm, so go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say something to all Leaf fans and all Leaf haters out there. I'm really fed up and sick of this narrative that the Leafs choke, the Leafs can't get through the first round, the Leafs suck, this, that, and the other. The Leafs haven't won a Stanley Cup since 1967. In my lifetime, and I'm going to go back because I'm fed up with this nonsense. In my lifetime, the stars of the Leafs have been Wendell, who cares, Clark, Matt overrated Sundin, Doug overrated Gilmore. Those are the three players. Rick freaking Vive, Bill
Prez,
freaking Gallego, Rocky Saginaw.
Why are you ripping former Leafs?
Hold on. And then you take this team. So in the last 50 years, the Leafs have never iced a team of substance ever. Now, that is the fault of the Leafs, of the management of the team. However, this year, we're looking at the best team they've ever assembled finally. You talk about how not deep their fourth line is. Jason Spezza sat in the box, dude. James Bunting wasn't even on the ice. That's how deep. This is the deepest team ever.
Bunting was hurt.
They rolled six defensive lines, three defensive lines. Mark Giordano played on the third line, and it still had 20 minutes of ice time. They are deep on forward, deep on defense. They have a problem at goal, I grant you that. But I am fed up with this narrative. Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner barely are in puberty. These are children, for Christ's sake. It took Ovechkin 10 years to win a Stanley Cup. The narrative is just all BS. I'm done.
Yeah, Michael Bunting was injured, and Jason Spezza is a proven playoff performer. And the guy that
and yet they're so deep, he didn't even play.
Yeah, they were so deep last year. They scratched him 3 games, and they lost in the first round. I don't know. I think I think he should be out there. He's going to play now because Kyle Clifford's injury, I believe. But
I hope so.
I wanted to ask you how important home ice is in general, but how important it is in this series, because obviously that game 1 was great, and the Maple Leafs had a great regular season to have that and to have achieved home ice. How much does it matter to you here?
I think either one of these teams can win on the other team's home ice. The Leafs, I think, only lost 10 home games all season, but the Leafs can go to Tampa and win in Tampa by the same the same line of thinking. Tampa can win in Toronto. I think when you got two very good teams, they can win on the road. And we talked about it. Every single team in the East finished with 100 points or more for the very first time. And why? Because they were able to win games on the road. So home ice doesn't really come into it, until you look at maybe you get late in the series, game 5, game 6, game 7. Maybe it does, but the Leafs could very well, if this wins 6 games, win to Tampa. I wouldn't think it would come back here. The Leafs could win there. And conversely, if it goes 7 games, I could see Tampa winning in Toronto. To the point of narratives and whether our players on teams, this isn't the first season with Austin Matthews and Marner and what have you. They were on the team last year that got bounced in the first round, losing to Montreal in a series that they were never supposed to lose. So it does happen. We'll see what happens this year. Whether Tampa has any pushback whatsoever. If Tampa loses tonight, the series is pretty much done, because I don't think they're going to win both games at home. So it very well could end in 5 games back in Toronto. So we'll see what happens tonight.
I think if Tampa loses tonight, they still have the ability to protect home ice. But Prez, we got to get to the next game. But I just got to ask you, I know you're dripping passion, and I actually love to see it. As a sports fan, I love to hear this passion. I'm not just saying that. But I got to ask you, I mean, you sound fed up with this quote for quote narrative, but it's not really a narrative. The Habs haven't been good over the last several years, and I enjoyed last year, but that's just a fact. The Habs were someone told me the Habs were last place in the NHL this year, and they sucked. I would agree with them. It's just a fact. There's no narrative. It's just a fact. I don't know that the word narrative and the word fact are synonyms. Those aren't synonyms in the dictionary.
Andrew, we got a Wager Talk Today show starting at noon. Carmine Bianco will be joining us, everybody. I don't need to discuss the Leafs anymore. Those guys are young. Chicago Blackhawks with Jonathan Toews and Patrick Kane are the only team that I can think of where the core of the team was under 24 and won the Stanley Cup. They are young. Calm the hell down. Crosby and Malkin, the core of the team. Crosby and Malkin, at that time, there was a lot of veteran leadership around that team. But anyway, Minnesota, St.
jump
Louis. Let's
into
go.
St.
Come
Louis
on.
and Minnesota. All right. Minus 135 here for Minnesota. I got St. Louis plus 115 on the road. Man, I love playoff time, guys. Minnesota, tough one there at home for them in game one. Totals at 6 here in this one. Shaded to the over, of course. If you like that one, jump in now, as some of your books might be showing 6.5s by the end of the day. But Carm, I'll go to you for your thoughts on this one. Look, I have St. Louis to win the series. I did not make a wager in game one, but I like the over in this game here in game two. What are your thoughts?
All right, so I'll start this one first off by saying, because I don't mind saying it, saying now the playoffs have started. If you're one of my long-term clients or one of my NHL clients, you know I released the St. Louis Blues at the start of the NHL playoffs, 18-1 to win the Stanley Cup, and it's because this team is playing extremely well. Listen, they've got two very good goalies, and while we didn't think Binnington was a good goalie during the regular season, he turned it around in the last month and was playing well. Everyone thought this is going to be the toughest series for them because, Minnesota brought in Marc-Andre Fleury. They already had the scoring, and now they have a goalie. But we saw in game one, a game where, and we talked about, and Andrew, you talked about in every series, the away team is more likely to win that game one, steal the first one, and be content. I don't think St. Louis is content. I think they want to head back home up to 2-0 in this series. This team closed out the season very strong. I think they were like 15-3-2 their last 20 games, 10-1-1 on the road. This team is playing extremely well. Husso's playing well. If they can completely shut down that first and second line of Minnesota like they did on Monday, there's a very good chance they head back home up 2-0. With that said, I'm leaning to the under here. I think the same way. I think Fleury's probably going to be better. Husso's going to be just as good as he was. We're going to see some defensive play, and we're not going to see a lot of goals. I think people expect goals, but I don't think we're going to see them. So I'm going to go under the total here in this one. Prez?
Carm, I like the over in this game, and I also like Minnesota. I agree with the concept of taking St. Louis to win the series. This is a veteran team that not too long ago made a good Stanley Cup run, and they've been playing outstanding. And they are a scoring machine, which is fascinating, given that when they won the Stanley Cup, they were a scoring non-machine. I like Minnesota, and I like the over in this game, and I would bet the over immediately because Andrew is correct. It will go to 6.5.
And the power plays are just so great on both teams. But, to Carm's point, I think if Minnesota wants to be successful, they're going to have to try and win lower scoring games. I just don't know if they're capable of that. Do you agree there, Carm, with that? I mean, I think that Minnesota, if their style, I think they're going to have to win like a 4-3 game, though. Can you see Minnesota winning a low-scoring game?
I think they're going to have to, Andrew. In all honesty, they're going to have to. You look at the games throughout the season, and I think this is why the total in game one was higher than it should have been, and why this one might hit 6.5, because maybe people think this reverts back to the regular season. But I'm going to stand by what I said before is, we can't always look at what happens during the regular season and think it carries over into the playoffs when two teams are playing each other. It's one of the reasons why I like the under in that game one of the Toronto Tampa Bay series, and it finished 5-1. It stayed under the 6.5. I thought it was too high, and I think if it's at 6.5, I'm going to go under on that Leaf one and under in this one. So I'm going to wait this one out because I think you're correct, Andrew, that this total is likely going to hit 6.5, and I'm going to play the under in it because I think St. Louis plays a similar game as they did on Monday. I think they're going to try and clog up that neutral zone, stop that breakout that Minnesota is very good at home. And this one, I think this one stays under the total. We'll see at the end of the night. I could be very well wrong, and it's another one of those 6-3 regular season type games, but if you give me a 6.5, I'm going under the total here.
Yeah, well, always important for all of us to line shop. You guys can use the WagerTalk live odds, wt.buzz /odds, I believe. Is that what it is? Guys, for last game between these teams as well, penalty filled, 28 penalty minutes for the Minnesota Wild, 18 for the Blues. I expect both teams to be a little more disciplined tonight when it comes to the penalty department there. Our last game before we get to the show power plays, let's jump into it, fellas, here with the LA Kings and the Edmonton Oilers. Oilers minus 195 favorites, the Kings plus 165, total 6.5 here. Of course, LA leads 1-0 after a hiccup from Mike Smith, tries to go up the middle like he's done several times before. But when you're talking about a playoff game, when you're talking about a goaltender handling the puck, the last thing you want to see is your goalie go up the middle in a tie game. And that's what Mike Smith did. And Mike Smith did Mike Smith things after he had a pretty respectable performance. But I talked about it. Carm just mentioned it. I believe game ones are when you see upsets more, not as much in game twos. What are your thoughts here in this one, Prez?
Andrew, I'm with you, man. I actually think minus 200 is fair value. I don't normally bet minus 200 plays, but I like Edmonton tonight. I think we're going to see an under as well, Andrew. I think the Los Angeles Kings are going to come out and really, truly try to slow this game down. Connor McDavid's goal was outstanding, end-to-end rush, and I think that's really where they're going to focus. Clog that neutral zone, slow the Edmonton Oilers' entrance in. I don't think this is going to be a 7-game series. I still think if you can go out there and bet Edmonton to win in 6, it's a good bet. I think these teams don't really compare. I mean, I like the Oilers, and I like under the total of 6.5.
All right, Prez, with the Oilers and under 6.5, I will have a prop play for this game coming up here in the power play segment. Carm, every playoffs, we see a hot goaltender. We see a goaltender just catch fire, and a miracle can always happen with a team. Jonathan Quick played great in game 1. Can he do it again here in game 2?
Yeah, why not? Jonathan Quick, Andrew, I'm just going to bring up a stat for you really quickly. But Jonathan Quick, over the last part of this NHL season, has been absolutely phenomenal for this team. He's gone his last 13 games. He's gone 9-2-2. He's won 7 straight games. He hasn't allowed more than 3 goals in any of those 13 games to close out the season. The guy is playing absolutely fantastic, and we saw over the last week and a half of the regular season, when they needed to win games, he absolutely stood on his head when his team was playing white knuckle hockey, just trying to pick up points. He kept them in the games, and they got the points they needed and made it into the playoffs. Now they win game 1 of the series, and you can look at it as a perfect bounce back spot for the Oilers. I fell for the banana in the tailpipe thing with Mike Smith. I said it all year, and I said to our producer, I wish you had played those videos of me talking about playoff Mike Smith, because somehow I ended up taking Mike Smith in game 1 in regulation time, and I fell flat on my face. Andrew, you sent me something that one of your clients sent you. Mike Smith's 6 playoff starts. He's 0-6 since joining the Oilers. Not a great stat. They got to be better defensively tonight, but marginally better. Smith has to be better tonight. That was a terrible attempt to go up the ice to feed. I think it was McDavid. That was a terrible play. You put your team in a bad spot, and goalies are not supposed to put their teams in bad spots. So with that said, I think the Oilers bounce back tonight, but don't put it past the LA Kings to just try and slow this game to a crawl. And Prez talks about the under, and I kind of agree with that. Slow this game down to a crawl, clog that neutral zone. It's very tough to stop McDavid when he gets any type of momentum going. He just corkscrews defensemen into the ice. With that said, I would probably lean that way as far as the under, but I would lean to the first period under. I think everyone's thinking we're going to see a ton of goals in this game, and you're getting plus money on the 1.5 under. I know it's tough to take an Oilers game under the total at home, where they've been very good all season long, but I'm going to do it. Under 1.5 for me.
All right, looking at there. Guys, let's jump into power plays. We'll wrap this show up. And, of course, Wager Talk today. I'll start things off with myself with my show Power Play. Before I do that, though, baseball is red hot, guys. 8-1 run here on the diamond in the MLB, so it's going very well there. As far as baseball goes, all sports continues to stay pretty hot, but off a rough night yesterday in the NHL, which we'll try and bounce them, of course. But I have 3 plays in the NHL for tonight. You can find that in a combo package. My power play for tonight, guys, we're 2-0 to start the playoffs. Talk time with these prop plays. We cashed last night with Barkov shots. Tonight, we're going to Edmonton. Kailer Yamamoto to get a point. Yamamoto to score a point. He's on that line with Draisaitl and Zach Hyman. The top line is fantastic for the Oilers, but so is the second line. Yamamoto is also out there on the second power play unit, which is crucial for taking a player to get a point. And as much as McDavid's goal was amazing, like Prez said, some of these secondary guys are going to have to do something. And I believe we'll see that second line, make something happen here, whether it's an assist or a goal. Yamamoto over 0.5 points at my team. That's my show power play for today. Carmine, I'll go to you for what you have tonight and your best bet.
All right, one Champions League game plus 5 props. We won our play yesterday in Champions League. Let's look for another one today. 4 games up in NHL tonight, guys. So you could pick up the one-day all access and get everything on my card today. Listen, Landeskog scored yesterday for us. He was plus 105 on that prop I gave out. I think anyone could have scored yesterday on Riddick. Given the way he played. But I'm going to go to another goal scorer tonight. It's Wednesday. I'm making pasta tonight. And with that in mind, the Bruins, I think, are going to push back tonight. I'm going to take David Pastrnak to score tonight, plus 135. Pretty good price. So while I'm not saying the Bruins are going to win, I think Pasta's going to score. So let's make it a pasta night, plus 135. Perez?
I had pasta last night. It was delicious. Spaghetti alla penne. My best bet tonight, guys, is, firstly, just real quick, Abel, who we love, comes in here and says, the show has never respected the Kings. I have no respect for the monarchy at all. Blanket statement. I like Minnesota tonight as my best bet. Guys, I have 2 NHL plays up for you tonight in the same package. One of them is a 5% play. I haven't released a 5% play in 3 weeks, and my 5% record is off the charts. Head over to WagerTalk. Check it out. Also, watch WagerTalk today. Steve Merrill, Carmine Bianco, Ronald Kabang. It's going to be a great show. Andrew, thanks for having me, brother.
Thank you for being here. Great show, guys. I have Yamamoto over 0.5 points. Carmine with David Pastrnak to score a goal at plus 135. And the Prez, who has a 5% play tonight at WagerTalk, has Minnesota on the money line, minus 130. On behalf of Prez, Carm, and our producers, I'm Andrew, and I'll see you tomorrow.
How would you like to bet right alongside your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper for the next 40 days for under $5 per day? Well, we have you covered. A 30-day all-access pass is priced at $299, but for a limited time, not only are we discounting the price by $100, but adding on 10 more days of picks for free. So outside of the $100 discount, we are tossing in a free 3-day all-access, a $39 value, and a free 7-day all-access, a $99 value for a combined savings of $238. So to recap, for the next 40 days, you will get all plays across all sports from your favorite WagerTalk or Sports Memo handicapper played during your access, including 5% best bets for under $5 per day. Have an existing all-access pass? No worries, as your 40 days will not begin until your current package expires.